I'm going to make a quick video, shouldn't take too long, and I want to discuss a little bit about spiritual testing. Okay, spiritual testing is a real thing, um, individually and collectively. And I heard on a few podcasts like Mark Devlin, for example. Really like Mark. You get to see this, Mark. I appreciate your work, but he and others as well often talk about how when people commit to saving more, helping more, um, they experience challenges in their life. Okay. So my when I say the spiritual path, I mean when you get to the point where you feel you're ready to dedicate your life, this existence, to the benefit of others. The Bodhisattva vow. The number of sentient beings is limitless. I vow to save them all. I don't recommend everyone makes that vow, but when you commit to saving all beings before yourself, you will face challenges, but I'm going to explain why you face challenges, okay? Because we actually are moving away from our old way of seeing the world, of thinking, and into a new state of being and more selfless. It's actually a higher vibration. I'm not talking like hippie talk, but it is what it is. I'm going to give you um, a visual to see what that is. I'm going to show you with cymatics. Okay, everyone's familiar with cymatics. It's not a new concept, but I'll show you how this actually happens individually and collectively. So, what can do this? Mantras can do this. Okay. My teacher got all of his devoted students to learn a mantra called the Immortal Tao, or learn his Da Bejo, which is chanted different than traditional methods. It's a slower version. When you make a commitment like that, the mantra itself is very purifying. Okay. It's actually purifying our karma, it's purifying our negative information. And it brings up incredible challenges. Now, when we look at spiritual testing, it always fascinated me. Whenever I was due to go and spend time with one of Master Sha's students, or even see Master Sha himself, or do one of Master Sha's practices, it was fascinating to me what went wrong. Loads of things would work against me getting there. Okay. And it was, as I said, it was not like it was not like it was more of just a child observing the situation. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Everything that seems to go wrong that could prevent me from getting there, it happens, right? Spiritual testing. And I heard once one of Master Sha's students saying the harder it is to get somewhere that will benefit you spiritually, the more you need to be there. And I've seen friends of mine that are still with Master Sha now that the first time they went to one of his healing retreats just got slammed with the flu. Literally couldn't get there, violently ill. As soon as the retreat was over, they felt better. So just things like this, for example. And a lot of people get afraid of spiritual testing. They think, oh, my life's hard enough as it is, but it's a blessing. You think about training, for example. You train a muscle to failure. That's where the growth happens. Okay, and we're scared of failing. You grow from failing. So the body gets stronger as we uh, push it to failure more in exercise, for example. The mind is the same, the spiritual journey is the same. And when we embark on a spiritual path like that, our shifus, our spiritual fathers and mothers will test us. They want to see if we are capable of being given spiritual power, okay, spiritual responsibility. What accounts for spiritual responsibility is humility. It's actually humbleness. You look at the Tao Te Ching. Why do all streams flow to the sea? The sea is lower than they are. It's humility that gives it its power. When you see spiritual teachers in the past who may have started very humble, gained incredible healing power, or following, took advantage of that, and they fall far. Okay, the higher you go spiritually, the further you can fall. So it's a real fine line. This is why in the West, a lot of people want to carry the title of a master or a guru, but it's a very dangerous path. You know, I've heard my teacher say before, spiritual laws are way more important and serious than physical laws. Okay, you break spiritual laws, way bigger consequences. Okay, so the more you go traditional road of becoming a master, you don't give yourself that title. Okay, your master will tell you when you're a master, and you have to have been put through incredible testing. Like my teacher with his master, his master adopted him as his only uh, son, his only son. He adopted him into the family, and then never spoke to him for 12 years. Tested his ego. He calls it total gold. Gratitude, obedience, loyalty, and devotion. Tested them on that for 12 years, treated them harsh, cold, and then opened up to him. You passed the test, the 12-year test. Okay. So the higher you go, the more you have to be careful with those titles. If you want those titles, what part of you wants them? It's the ego that wants them. Okay. But there's you got to be careful when you guide them, people, you're not guiding them the wrong way. But back to the point, mantras can create testing. Okay. If you commit to learning a certain mantra and dedicate, you say, I'm going to chant this mantra. I understand the power and significance of this mantra. I'm going to chant this mantra every day for the rest of my life, let's say, for the benefit of all beings. Okay, you'll go through a lot of testing. You go through a lot, but I'm going to show you how and why it's a good thing. Spiritual testing is a blessing. There's no doubt about it. It's a blessing. Okay. Um, when we look at the Buddha's teaching on dependent origination, we see that nothing has a separate self-identity. Okay, we have a piece of paper. The piece of paper, we say it's a piece of paper, that's its separate self-identity. But in reality, it doesn't exist as an independent, separate self-identity. In that piece of paper, there's the tree, the sun, the rain, the ocean, the person who chopped it down, his ancestors, everything he's ever eaten, uh, his children, you name it, the people who designed the equipment that cut down, that made the machinery that cut down the tree. And then you can go any direction you want, and you'll find that everything is entangled in that piece of paper being where it is. If you took one element out, the paper wouldn't be there. So with that, we see that emptiness means in Buddhism that to be empty of a separate self identity, empty of a separate self, we become full of everything else. This is the teaching in Buddhism, right? Dependent origination. So I'm bringing that up because the Buddha taught 84,000 methods of spiritual practice, but he summed them up in one sentence. And that one sentence is nothing is to be clung to as an I, me, or mine. Now, I often say this whenever I teach. If you can think of any challenges or suffering you've ever been through, or anyone you've ever known has been through in the past, may go through in the future, or is struggling with right now, can you find any challenge or suffering that is not connected to clinging to an I, me, or a mine? Okay, it's the cause of all suffering. That's my car that I've just crashed. Okay, we're attaching to it. It's not our car. There's no me. Okay, but I worked so hard for that car, and he stole it, and it was mine. Okay, my health is going down. This is my life. You don't have a life. You are life having an experience. Okay, all suffering is due to clinging to an I, me, or a mind. So when we look at challenges happening when we do more, if you are open enough, open-hearted enough, and have the wisdom, okay, because wisdom brings light. Light allows us to see in the dark. If you have enough wisdom, you will go beyond the challenges to the next stage, and then more challenges will come when you're ready to grow. If you don't have that wisdom and you don't have that understanding, this is why a teacher is so important. When those challenges happen, you fall back into the ego, the I, me, and mine. I tried so hard to help, and this happened and that happened. Why is God punishing me? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? I, me, and mine, victim mentality. And then the service that you're offering isn't selfless anymore. Okay. The service has conditions on it. I will help you if I have blessings in my life. But that's funny also, because when you become open-hearted and truly selfless, the more you do for others, it is actually the key to true happiness. It is actually what creates true and lasting happiness, is by helping others. This is just a universal law, okay? So I'm just going to share my screen and show you something that gives you a visual uh, expression of what I'm talking about. Where am I? So this is cymatics, okay? And as you can see, as the vibration increases, the vibration on the plate, right? The vibration creates geometric patterns, two-dimensional versions of geometric patterns. And as the vibration increases, the patterns become more complex. But there's a phase in between that's a distorted phase as it's rearranging. Okay. And this is what spiritual testing is. I hope you can hear this, but if you can't, that's fine. It's actually interesting that they keep putting more matter onto it to create the more complex shape. This could be seen also as us observing more, okay? Uh, Meaning that the more we see the true nature of reality and experience it, the more we can shift, okay, into a higher vibration. I use the analogy sometimes of if your whole reality was looking at a brick like that, and that was your whole universe. If someone pulled you back, you go, "Oh my gosh, it's not a brick, it's a wall," and then that's your whole awareness. And then over time, someone might pull you back again. You go, wow, it's not a wall, it's a house. You keep coming back, it's a suburb. Keep coming back. Your vision's bigger, you see more, and things become clearer to you. But if you look at this image we're looking at now, it's distorted. Before it rearranges and finds order again, it's chaotic. There you go. Another distortion before it changes shape again. So in our life, we constantly hit these points individually and collectively where we go through challenges because we're growing. Okay. The worst thing we can do is actually complain about it. If we stay open, we stay grateful and conscious of the process, we'll get through that faster. And this is an ongoing thing in our life. And as we grow and we understand it more, the challenges actually become greater, believe it or not. They become potentially harder, but it's us that make them hard by clinging to the old and familiar. If we get attached using what I've just shown you, the cymatics, if we get attached to one geometric pattern, okay, I like this one. I like where my life's at now. Well, hang on a minute. You're ready for the next step. The next step may be way more beautiful, but if we resist, we get stuck in that distorted phase because we're attached to the old. We won't make it to the next step, which would be more beautiful because it's a growth. So when we look at it collectively, look at every challenge we've been through as a species. We've always grown. When you start looking at conspiracies, 9/11, COVID, they were challenging times. How many people have woke up since 9/11 to see what's going on? How many people have woke up since COVID to see what's going on? A lot of people know what's going on now. And some people are not ready for that. They want to cling to their old familiar patterns, and that's fine. Okay. Sometimes I say this and people can take this the wrong way, but down on the battlefield, it's we're the good guys, they're the enemy, right? The people who enforce this stuff and push toxins into the body and spray us like cockroaches in the sky and all that jazz, right? But the truth is, forgetting about good and bad and just looking from a universal perspective, a higher perspective, we need that challenge for us to grow collectively. On one level, they're actually saving us. Okay. And I share that because rather than seeing what they do and moving into anger, if you can be grateful, okay, this might be a challenging time, but the more they do what they do, the more we see it, the more people wake up, the more humanity will collectively evolve beyond it. They will actually outgrow it. And then we can move into a new era. But it's we can't expect the collective to change if we don't change on a individual level. So rather than me keep going on, I'll close it there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it came out all right. Have a lovely day.